the blood boiling here this evening, and hope that you are here with the purpose of having great entertainment and socializing with fellow Republicans. At this time, we're going to have the national anthem. If you would salute the flag. Texas flag, we will salute it.
On honor of the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Be seated.
Could I have your attention, please? One little piece of housekeeping that the wait staff asked me to be sure and tell you about was in the back of your name tags is a card. And the card is, if you're eating beef for dinner, it's brown, and if you're eating fish, it's blue or green. But we need you to put that card behind your salad plate, because that's what they're looking at when they determine what meal you're eating. So please do that at this time. So on behalf of myself and the Board of Directors of the Republican Club, I wish to welcome you. I guess I'm having a little trouble with the voice, right?
You're fine.
Right. I don't have people tell me that I'm having trouble being heard too often, but I guess I am. At any rate, we want to welcome all of our beloved neighbors, our residents. We want to welcome all of our sponsors who we delightfully enjoy their participation in our club. We also want to welcome all of the office holders and candidates that are here tonight. So we have a good meeting planned for you tonight. Our function is simple. This is our third forum. We had 2 in January, 1 in February. Our goal here is to let you see all of the critical races. You're going to see a lot of good Republicans. That's all you see here is Republicans. But here's the important thing. I know in my own family, listening to the presentations, there's a couple of my family members have said to me, you know what? We've had, I was undecided about 1 or 2 people in a given race. And I saw them live in action and heard what they had to say and the way they presented themselves, and I was able to make a decision. So I know firsthand that decisions will be made here tonight based on what you hear and what you see. So that's important. That's why we have these forums. Next month, we won't have a forum. We'll have a guest speaker, and we'll talk to you about that a little later. What is important, though, is that you do get to see these folks. And remember, we have a big job to do. We have to win in November. And you have to pick the candidate amongst all these good Republicans. You have to pick the candidate that has the best opportunity of doing that and representing your views. So, with that out of the way, we will move on, yes. So I'd like to ask our elected officials and our candidates to please, not the ones that are speaking tonight, but all the other ones that are here, to please exit out to the hallway. We have Michelle there who will get you up on stage so you can introduce yourself, and all of our membership can put a name and a face together. So we're going to be doing that right now. Yes? What? Yeah, that will be right after this.
Thank you, Jack. Hey, I'm doing amazing. Guess what yesterday was? The beginning of primary season. My name is Suzanne Harp. I'm running for U.S. Congressional District 3. I would be so honored to represent you. I'll stick around tonight if you guys have any questions about the race, how we're going to win, and how we can take it all the way to Washington.
Good evening, I'm Lynn Finley, and I'm privileged to serve as your Collin County District Clerk. I would appreciate your vote tomorrow or next week or on Election Day. So thank you for being here, and I look forward to the evening.
Good evening, my name is Lee Finley. I'm running for Collin County Judge. Been a Republican precinct chair for 6 years. I'm a veteran of the Marine Corps. I've been a licensed attorney for more than 25 years. With your vote, together, we can make a real, tangible, positive difference in the lives of the more than 1 million people who live in this county. Wouldn't that feel good? Thank you.
I am so excited to be with my friends at Heritage Ranch. I'm Candy Noble, and I'm honored to serve you in the Texas House.
Good afternoon. My name is Sammy Knapp. I'm Constable Precinct 3. I'm not up for election this go around, but I've always appreciated the support of Heritage Ranch. Let me just tell you, go down to the bottom of the ballot. The constables are one ahead of Abraham. So please go all the way to the bottom.
Hello, Heritage Ranch. I'm Matt Carpenter. I'm your conservative Christian running for Constable Precinct 1. More importantly, we have a first-timer here tonight. Colin, will you stand up? My oldest son, Colin, is 17 years old, joining us tonight. Thank you all very much.
Hi, I'm Ken Logston. Thanks to you folks, I'm in the middle of a term on the Fairview Town Council, and I'm not running for anything right now.
Good evening. I am Maggie Witt, and it is my privilege to serve you as your State Republican Executive Committee woman. I am tough, tireless, and tenacious. Those of you who know me know that that's the truth. And I plan to keep serving you as long as you will have me until I'm about 102. So thank you for your vote.
Hello, I'm Sue Reeves, and I'm honored to serve as your precinct chair. You guys make me look so good. Thank you so much. I'm here representing Senator Paxton, and she asked for your support. She's with us in spirit tonight. So with our help, she will keep our future free.
Thank you. Our next speaker is not running for office. He's Ben Brown, one of our dear directors, here to do the invocation. So please stand for the invocation.
I started to say vote for me, but I'm not on the ballot. So, and Ron would vote for me. Let's have a moment of silence, please, for one of our members who passed recently, Dr. Rao, a good friend, many of us here at Heritage Ranch. So a moment of silence before our invocation. Heavenly Father, we're here to honor you tonight. We're here to thank you as well. Thank you for these friends. Thank you for these candidates who've put their lives and their money and their treasure on the line just to serve us. And we thank you for that. We pray for guidance in our election. Those that have not voted, we pray that they will seek your favor and decide who the best candidate is for each of these offices. We thank you for our nation. We pray for the leaders of our nation, for President Biden. We ask for extra wisdom as he handles the foreign crises that face our nation today. Now, as we eat and fellowship, bless our food to the nourishment of our bodies. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. And you may be seated.
Take your seats, unless you're en route to do something important. It's about time to begin our program.
Don't go there.
It's a busy program. We've tried to make it run as efficiently as possible and to put as much into it as we can possibly do that. We have changed our format. I think we have to get rid of this. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for coming. It's so gratifying to see a large crowd. It means you're interested, and well, you should be. As Jack said, these elections, although they're minimized, and many times we don't have a large number to turn out, they're very important. As you know, we need to have good candidates, the best candidates in there to defeat the Democrats in November. Yes. So that's what we're working on, and it's wonderful to see because this is the grassroots political democratic system at work. So tonight we have, as Jack indicated, the third of 3 forums. Now that doesn't mean we've been able to bring before you all the candidates in precinct 179, because if that were so, we'd have to be here every night for 3 or 4 weeks. There are a lot of them. But we tried to pick a large number of them, or at least a sufficient number, to give you some idea. And if we miss someone and you're trying to figure out who to vote for, then I try their name and their website, and maybe you can find out a few things. But for tonight, we have 2 videos, and we have the candidates in the 5th Court of Appeals, or the 5th District Court of Appeals, number 5, I should say. Excuse me, wrong one. I don't have my sheet. Anyway, the Collin County District Court, number 5. And then we also have the Court of Criminal Appeals, and we have the Justice of the Peace. But before we do any of them, we're going to have 2 of what we hope to have 3 videos. And since we're going to have Alan West's video, we're going to have Don Huffines' video, and unfortunately, through no fault of anybody's, the video for Governor Abbott did not arrive, but we always think of something. We've got a gentleman here who is the statewide field director for Governor Abbott, and that's Ron Book. And he's going to say a few words, and within 2 minutes, you know how time sensitive we are. He doesn't know that, but we have lots of things to shut him down. No. So, welcome, Ron Book.
Well, the governor was here back in August, and he really loves this club, and I know that if he could be here tonight, he would be, but unfortunately he gets stuck with me, so I apologize for that. But isn't it interesting that back just a few years ago, Beto was going around the country saying, I'm going to take your guns. Heck yeah, I'm going to take your guns. And then there he was talking about the border, and we need to have an open border. He ended up not staying in the presidential election very long, and he thinks Texans are going to vote for him. And you and I know that's not going to happen. But the folks in California don't. And the folks in New York don't. And they're going to be shipping their money. And you know, Beto even sent a text message out, and he sent messages out to people outside of Texas saying, come help my campaign in Texas. But Governor Abbott, since the time of Obama, has asked the legislature and has received from the legislature hundreds of millions of dollars, $200 million every legislative cycle to protect the border. When President Trump became president of the United States, he asked for help to secure the border after the Obama administration, and Governor Abbott was the first governor to send National Guardsmen to the border. And Governor Abbott asked for an increase in the amount of funds to protect the border. And in this last legislative session, since Biden has been president, Governor Abbott has asked for and received from the legislature $1 billion for the border. And a large chunk of that $1 billion is going to build the wall. Not some rinky-dink thing, but to literally build a wall. In December, the foundation was being built, or was started, to build that wall on Texas state property. The governor has been working with homeowners to build that wall. And the governor, while Beto says, heck yeah, I'm going to take your guns, the governor has signed 20 laws in his time in office as governor to protect the Second Amendment. And in this last legislative session, that included making Texas a secure state, a safe state, against federal intrusion on the Second Amendment. And he also signed constitutional carry. Folks, Governor Abbott is a lifelong, consistent conservative. You can see it in his pro-life record. You can see it in his record fighting human trafficking. You can see it in his fiscal conservative policies. And I know Joan's about to hit that bell, so let me say this. I'll be at the very back at the end of the meeting. If you have questions, if you'd like to talk about the governor, and especially if you want to help the governor by block walking or making phone calls or volunteering as a deputy voter registrar, come see me. I want you to help us beat Beto in November.
Thank you very much, Ron Book. Now we're going to show you the two videos that we did receive on time. And, but before I do, I'd like to introduce the representatives coming here from the Huffines campaign, and also, not specifically up here, but I'd like them to stand up, and also from Don Huffines campaign, and also from Alan West. So where do I see Carl Voitsberger? Can you stand up? He's standing up there. He has a table over on that side, I know. Yes. in case you want to communicate with him after we're finished, because I do encourage you to go to all the candidates who are featured here, to talk to them, to pick up some information. So that's Carl Voitsberger. Then I have, now this is a real, I put a little French twist on her name, but it's not really, I don't think, right. So it's Jenna Muscalier. Where are you, Jenna? There she is in the back, okay? She has a table over there, that's right. And with her is Deborah, is it Leva?
Leva.
Yes, she is there, and she has a table over here. And then those are the representatives, as well as Ron Book. Now we're going to see the videos of the two. The first one, I believe, will be Don Huffines, am I right? Yes? And then we're going right into the other video with Alan West. I do want to say one thing. Stop it. Don't do it yet. Okay. We, here at Heritage Ranch, we really try to keep high standards. We ask every candidate to focus on himself, herself, not on his or her opponent. In fact, I'm a little discouraged at some of the campaign appeals I see on TV, because I don't want to hear what somebody thinks of his opponent. I want to know what he or she is going to do. So we maintain that here in this room, but by the same token, we ask all of you to respect the fact that whether you agree with a candidate, whether you support or you think, I don't know why he or she is really running, no matter where you are on that spectrum, you will give them your respect. No remarks from the floor, no unkind remarks. We really appreciate the effort that they took to run and represent what they think is right. Thank you.
Hello, Patriots. I'm Don Huffines, and I'm going to be your next governor. I'm a lifelong conservative activist. A fifth-generation Texan, I was born in Dallas and grew up in the Metroplex. I'm a businessman. I started my company in 1985, and I'm in commercial real estate. Best thing happened to me was 34 years ago, marrying my wife, Mary Catherine. We have 5 children, 4 boys and a girl, and now we're new grandparents 4 times over in the last 20 months. Great chapter in our lives. Everybody says you'll love it, and they're right. We homeschooled our children throughout their schooling career to make sure they would grow up in a good, conservative, Christian environment, and they did. Well, I love freedom and liberty. I've been a delegate to many state conventions over the last 30 years, and I was a delegate to 3 national conventions. But have you ever met a Republican that didn't say he was conservative? They all say they're conservative, and guess what? 90% of them are liars. They're going to campaign one way and go down in Austin and govern a different way once they get in that swamp. Well, I got a PhD in that swamp, and I was tired of people saying they're conservative when they're not, so I ran for the Senate, and I was in the Texas Senate representing the north half of Dallas County from 14 to 18. In 18, I lost to the Democrats when they finished taking over Dallas County. There's really only 3 Republicans left in Dallas County. But I delivered on my campaign promises. I mean, that's what we're really about, is discerning who can we really trust about being honest about what they're going to get done down there. Well, I said I'd root out government corruption, and I uncovered the largest political corruption scandal really in modern Texas history. They were stealing tens of millions of dollars, and the elected board was. I got 6 people put in prison after I got the Rangers involved and the FBI involved, including the deputy mayor of the city council of Dallas. I closed this agency down. It's the largest takedown of government agency in modern Texas history also. We know most of the time they just merge agencies and they keep on growing. Well, we sold their furniture off. We sold their computers and we sold their real estate. They don't exist. They had 3,000 employees and a $100 million annual budget. According to the Secretary of the Senate, I'm the only elected office holder in the history of Texas that never took any money from the state. No pay, no pension, no health care, no travel vouchers, reimbursements, no nothing. And I'm never going to work for the government. I work for the people. I'm going to do the same thing as your governor. I'm never going to take a salary or a pension. And the most important thing is you can trust me to be a conservative because I had one of the top 3 most conservative voting records in the history of the state of Texas. My battle in Austin was generally with the rhinos, the Republicans in name only. They love to campaign one way, of course, and they just keep governing a different way. They get in this club, this exclusive club. I mean, it was incredible how hard I had to work to make them accountable. But it's going to be a new day. But let me just ask you something. Is the border secure? Are your property taxes going away? Do you have confidence your votes aren't being stolen? Are we winning the culture war? I could go all the way down the list of the genital mutilation of our children and everything else. And the answer, of course, to all that is no, no, and no. Well, I've got comprehensive solutions to all of that. Being a businessman, I'm looking for the solutions. I'm not running for the job. I'm running to implement the solutions. It gives me a distinct advantage over everyone else because I'm not worried about the political ramifications. I'm not here for a new career. I'm here to solve the problems that affect Texas. The key to my border plan is I'm never asking permission from the federal government to secure the Texas border. It's not necessary. The Constitution clearly gives the governor the authority to do whatever he needs to stop this invasion. And that's what this is. This is a premeditated attack on Texas. This is an invasion. I'm using the military to stop that. I'm closing those bridges over that river until Mexico secures their side of it. I've got a great plan to phase out your property taxes entirely over the next 8 years. This is very doable. We're going to have a constitutional amendment. You're going to get the vote on it. We're going to move some over to sales tax. But I can tell you, we're never, ever going to have an income tax in the state of Texas. And you're going to own your own home, your own business, your own farm and ranch. And I'm creating a new law enforcement division to enforce election laws. I've got the solutions. Patriots, this is our time. This is Texas. We'll never bend a knee to no man, to no government for no reason because this is Texas. I'm going to prove what it means for the state to be sovereign. I'm never asking permission from the federal government to do anything because this is Texas. God bless you and God bless Texas.
Hey, greetings everyone. Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, the gubernatorial candidate for the Republican nomination here in the state of Texas. I'm sorry that my schedule does not allow me to be there with you in person, but I'd just like to take a moment to share some thoughts, perspectives, and insights about the criticality of where we are in Texas in this 2022 election cycle. You know, the bottom line is that it is not about the R or the D. This is about the relationship between the individual citizen and the institution of government. It is about whether or not we choose to be a strong constitutional conservative state and we stand by those principles, which are the principles of liberty and freedom and individual rights, or do we delve over and become a progressive socialist state and therefore we can follow the path that California is on. California used to be a strong red state. A lot of people forget. And now look at California today. We don't want to see that happen here in Texas. And it starts with the right type of principled leadership that understands that in Texas, as it should be across the United States of America, that the individual is sovereign. They come from the Creator. Life, liberty, and property. And of course, Thomas Jefferson refined that in our Declaration of Independence to be life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that's the exact same thing that the founders of Texas, they wanted to see the individual be sovereign, their rights respected, their liberty be respected. And that's why we fought a revolution here in Texas against a dictator, a person that violated the Constitution of 1824. And we see those same violations happening today. And the only way that we rectify this situation is that we have someone that will stand up to the onerous and intrusive nature that we see coming from the federal government right now. And if we don't secure our border, and we don't make sure that the sovereignty of Texas is protected, then we don't have a Texas. And as a matter of fact, when you read the Constitution, Article 4, Section 4, which is the guarantee clause, there are two things that the federal government is supposed to guarantee to every state in the union. Number one, a Republican form of government, which means the rule of law, which is our Constitution, respecting your individual rights, and they're also supposed to protect every state in this union from invasion. And if we don't have the strong leadership that understands that the federal government has abdicated its constitutional duty and responsibility, they have said that they will not guarantee that to us here in the state of Texas. We got to step up and do it ourselves. We got to make sure that when we talk about life, liberty, and property, that when it comes to property taxes here in the state of Texas, you can never own your home. So we're going to do what is necessary to transition ourselves away from the current property tax system, and I think we can go to a consumption-based tax system. We got to make sure we stay strong with our oil and gas industry. We should not have a President of the United States of America telling us that we need to shut down our own ability to produce, consume, and export these incredible resources that we have here in Texas. Energy security is part of our economic security. It's also part of our national security. It's just the same as securing our border is part of our national security. And also, when we talk about security, you got to make sure that you're safe and secure in your neighborhoods, in your cities, in your communities. When I see the rise in criminal activity, we cannot have that here in the state of Texas. And so when we have these Soros-backed district attorneys that are sitting around and saying that we're going to release criminals, we're not going to allow that to happen. And on the 1st of March, 2022, you get to decide who your fantasy football team will be for this great Super Bowl that we're about to go into. God bless you all. Go to west4texas.com, west4texas.com, and God bless Texas.
So you've heard from three, one with Ron Book and the other two videos, but I hope you realize that when you go to vote, those of you that have voted will know this, there are 8 candidates running for governor. So we have tried to get in touch with as many as we could. I have to admit, some of them are pretty hard to get in touch with, but that's what you have to choose from, and I hope that you will think about it very carefully and find the very best you can find. And that person will be there, whether it's Beto or anybody else. We will defeat the whole group. In fact, I had to kind of smile because it was only the other day I heard that AOC is talking about taking over Texas. Can you beat that? I think she better worry about herself, not about us. We have everything under control, don't we? Yes. Okay, I do want to ask the candidates who are in the first group, and that would be to go out right outside the door in the hall, and somebody will show you how to enter the back door here. So that will be Jimmy Angelino, Randy Johnson, Joel Petrazio, and David Kleckner. While they're getting into place, I want to tell you the changes that we made. We made the changes for you. We got feedback. How can we make this forum be a little more enjoyable and be a little more informative and be a little more worthy of your time and effort to be here? So we've come up with something new. And this will be, each of the candidates will be given 6 minutes to talk about a number of things. Some of those things will be who they are, what their background is and experience, and anything else they want to tell us. We left it kind of open, but we gave them some pointers. How they relate to the office that they're running for, what makes them the best candidate, and how they can handle some of the business in that office. And this is across the board. I've made it pretty general, so I don't have to say this for each one. So they'll have 6 minutes. We do it in an alphabetical to make it fair. And if you're lucky to be with the first part of the alphabet, then you're up front. If you're on the end of the alphabet, like I am, you'll always be in the last. But that's a problem that you have to work out. After they're finished with that, they will have 1 minute to summarize and ask for your vote. So you won't have John and myself ringing bells until the end of the 6 minutes. But we really ring the bell at the end of 5 minutes to tell them they have 1 more minute to finish. And then they finish with a flurry of bells. And you know, and I know, I have my weapon. And my weapon is that horrible horn. And nobody wants to hear that. But I guaranteed all of them that we would close them down. Right? Okay. So we will begin with Jimmy Angelino. First of all, have a good look at them. You see on the far side, Jimmy Angelino, Randy Johnson, David Kleckner is right here, and Joel Petrazio. And we will start with Jimmy Angelino.
Do you mind if I just ask you a quick question?
Yes.
Can we answer any of those in any order that we want?
Oh yes, you're freewheeling on this one. But one thing I have to say, and I will repeat this time and again, you talk about yourself, never about another candidate. That's what it is. Okay, are you ready, sir?
I'm ready.
All right, and you wander all around the stage. You can do anything you want to attract attention, okay? Within reason. Okay, ready, go.
I just want to apologize.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay, start again.
I'm Italian, so if you don't hear me because my hands are walking, I hate carrying a mic. Because when Italians talk, their hands go all over the place. And my paisans out here know what I'm talking about.
But you have to put it in your mouth, and I'm Italian too, so I know what you mean, but hold it there.
Yeah. Well, it's hard because you talk with your hands. Okay, so first of all, I'm Jimmy Angelino, and what I plan on doing is I'm going to talk not much about my legal experience, because I have the most legal experience. I want to talk about when you go and hire or vote for a person to be judge, you're voting on that person, on what that person has done, not just his legal experience. So what I'm going to talk about is my commitment to service, because just like Don Huffine says, everybody says that they're conservative. Well, everybody who runs for an office says they want to serve. How do you know they really want to do that? You look at their experience. Okay, so I want to talk about my commitment to service. And I'm a third-generation American, and I'm proud of that. And the reason I'm proud of that is because when I was little, my great-grandfather, Colonel Severino, was still alive. He came over from Italy, so he told me about everything that he went through to get to this country. He told me what a great country this was. He told me how I had to serve, because you're lucky. You're born in this country. There are a lot of people who aren't. He told me that you have to try to make a difference. And I've done that my whole life. His son fought for our country in World War II. My Uncle Kono was killed at Normandy on D-Day. So the service of our family started then. My father was a New York City police officer. My other 2 brothers were Nassau County police officers. My brother Jay was a Dallas police officer for 28 years. And I started my service in 1987, this month, with the Dallas Police Department. As a matter of fact, your chief was my sergeant when I was in the police academy. So I've known him for 32 years, Chief Tolliver. Every time I put that uniform on, I served. Every time I put that vest on, I made a difference. Because I was out there protecting people, protecting the citizens. I was also lucky enough to be in a position where I was decorated twice for saving people's lives. So I know there are at least 2 people who are alive because of my actions. My ability to serve, my ability to try to make a difference. Then I went to law school at SMU while I worked full-time as a police officer. Got hired by the Denton County District Attorney's Office, became one of their best trial attorneys. But not only was I one of their best trial attorneys, I was a teacher. I taught at the Baby Prosecutor School 2 times a year. I taught police officers how to better prosecute intoxication offenses. I ensured that the citizens of Texas were safe by putting more experienced prosecutors out there and more experienced police officers. And then I got kind of crazy. While I was a DA, at the age of 39, I joined the military. I joined the United States Army Reserve as a J. I got in June of 2001, and then what happened at the end of that month, at the end of the year? 9/11 happened. So I volunteered to go to Afghanistan, but they didn't send us. So I went to Iraq in 2003, 2004. I was with Trial Defense Service, so I protected soldiers who were in Iraq. As a matter of fact, I actually had 5 court-martials in a war zone. And I also helped defend Colonel Allen West when he was brought up on court-martial charges. I just retired as a lieutenant colonel on September 30th in the Jet Corps. When I retired, I received numerous awards and medals, including a Bronze Star, 3 Meritorious Service Award medals, and 4 Army Commendation medals. There's nothing that I'm more proud of, well, something a little bit later, more proud of than my military service. During that time, I served this country. I protected the people who protected you. I tried to make a difference, and I know I made a difference in those people. Because that's what I'm all about, service and making a difference. We can tell you whatever experience we have in the legal, and you don't know. But you know what? You can look to see who has a commitment to service. And then I became a defense attorney. And the thing that I'm most proud of is I was one of the founding members of the Veterans Court. And I know you all had Judge Roach speak to you about the Veterans Court before. Okay, I wear this, and I don't know how many people know what this is. This is a ring for 22 kill. So what I want to do with the court is I want to make that part of the Veterans Court. I want to try to help soldiers who have problems. I want to try to ensure that if they think they're going to kill themselves, I make sure that they get their help. I make sure that they're able to navigate the VA. That's what I plan on doing with the court. If I could just save one soldier, my time as judge is a success. Look to see who's actually served and who's talking about service. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next candidate is Randy Johnson, and I did forget something, and that was to tell you that we have put up on the big screen some of the job or the responsibilities of the County Court of Law 5. We didn't want to kind of put a lot of detailed information on because it's hard for the people in the back or the front to read. So that's what you're seeing up ahead, which we didn't have before, and some people said, this is not your time. I mean, I'm not using it as your time. They didn't know even what the particular position or the office was. So we're trying to show you the criminal cases, Class C misdemeanors, appeals, civil cases. You can read it in brief. And then the next slide, which Bob put up, were some of the talking points that we kind of asked for, but that's very loose. And if they don't cover them, it's not against them. It's just giving you some guidance. And I should have said that before the first speaker. So now, are you ready, Randy Johnson? We're ready to start the clock. Go.
Good evening. My name is Randy Johnson. I'm so happy to see y'all here and to have this opportunity to talk to you and to take this time to visit with you about, first of all, what I want to do is address the questions we were asked to address, and then I'll talk a little bit about myself. We were asked about the past and future impacts on Collin County Court at Law Number 5 due to the federal government's open border policies, which are burdening the court with illegal aliens, illicit drug, and human trafficking cases, and has increased the need for multilingual government services. Great question. I think the question answers itself. It has increased the burden on our courts. What we've seen with the border policy that we have in place now, the failed border policy, is record numbers of illegal immigrants, drugs, human trafficking, flooding our state. Collin County is not immune from the result of this, which is increased crime. Court number 5 is not immune from this. What we've seen in other counties, other states, is we've seen courts and prosecutors refuse to prosecute cases. We've seen them take the position that if it's under $750, we're not going to prosecute that. With what we see happening on the border and this influx of just millions of people coming in here illegally, Collin County needs to send a message that if you come into Collin County and you commit a crime in Collin County, not only will you be arrested, not only will you be prosecuted, the courts will enforce the law and they will impose punishment accordingly if you're found guilty of committing a crime in Collin County, no matter how small it is and no matter what the political consequences are. And that's what we need to do, because we need to prevent this influx that's coming into our state from coming to Collin County. The next question, your vision and any changes you foresee for this court. My vision is I want to be known as the hardest working, the most dependable, the most knowledgeable, and the most prepared judge on the bench. I want everyone who comes into my court to know that they can have a fair trial, a speedy trial, and that if you are an attorney, I do civil cases and criminal cases. Civil attorneys get set for trial, they never want to go to trial. They're always looking for a way to get out of trial. I want all attorneys, the district attorney's office, civil attorneys, to know if you've got a court and if you have a case in my court, you are going to trial. We have a backlog that's come out because of COVID. We've got a lot of cases we need to dispose of. So I want to implement policies and procedures for docket control that are fair and that are enforced, so that the participants know that if you come into my court, we are going to go to trial if you're set for trial. And I think we can try 2 cases a week. When I was a district attorney, prosecutor starting out, I was in one court. That court tried on average of 80 jury trials a year. It was a misdemeanor court, like the court that I'm running for. The other thing I want to do is I want to make sure that we, for our civil cases, that we have settlement weekends twice a year so that we can dispose of more cases quicker, that we run dual dockets, that we also have status conferences for the criminal cases so that we can come up with ways to encourage the state and the defense attorneys to move cases quicker, whether it be by a plea, by a trial, a jury trial. I also want to make sure that for the mental health cases that are part of what we deal with, that we capitalize on the programs that are already in place in Collin County to make sure that we identify defendants who have mental health problems, legitimate mental health problems, and make sure that they get the resources they need, and then we're not bogging down our courts or our jail with people who don't belong in jail or in court, but have mental health issues. Next question. Well, the vision, the other thing was changes. We have an exploding population. Everyone knows that. If we're going to go from 1 million to 3 million, you know that's going to mean that all the courts are going to have more cases that they have to hear. I think in this particular court, one of the changes we're going to see is more civil cases. Over the last 5 years, criminal cases have gone down at the county court level statewide by 17%. They've gone up by 87, well, the civil cases that are filed, you've seen an 87% increase in eminent domain cases. You've seen a 36% increase in consumer debt cases. These are cases that are heard by this court. I don't know if y'all have kept track of this, but with our exploding population, we've had more and more eminent domain cases filed in the county courts because we've got changes that are being made, the widening of Highway 5 and 380. All of that's going to require a judge that's familiar with that. 1 minute? Okay. So, everyone's going to tell you up here that they're the most experienced candidate for this court. They're going to tell you they have more qualifications than everyone else for this court. When I started this out back in July, I put on my website, experience matters. It does matter. And my best friend is someone who is educated. And I know y'all have educated yourself about this, and you'll look at our websites, voterandyforjudge.com. And I know that when you look at our qualifications, you will see who the most qualified person is. I'm depending on that. But I want to ask you a question. You're going to hear and may have heard, this is primarily a criminal court. It hears a lot of DWIs, and that's true. 80% of it is criminal. 90% of those criminal cases get dealt with by agreed pleas. But this court also can hear cases up to $250,000 in damages. It can hear eminent domain cases. Your property can be taken away. Who do you want as a judge? Someone who has no criminal civil court experience when you're in there with a civil case, or someone who does criminal only? Thank you for your time. Appreciate your vote.
Thank you. Our next candidate is David Kleckner.
Thank you.
Oh, you need a mic.
I do not need a microphone. I am in a jury trial right now.
David, we are old people here.
They told me to, Dave. I need a mic,
So they can hear you in the next room.
Hi, everybody. Okay. Hi, I am proud to meet each of you. I am David Kleckner. I am a board-certified criminal lawyer who only handles criminal cases only in Collin County. I am a courtroom lawyer. I am at that Collin County courthouse every day. I hustle. I am known as the best jury trial lawyer at that courthouse. Everybody knows me to be there, to be on time, to be prepared, announce ready, and hustle. I've had 2 jury trials in the last 3 weeks, 4 jury trials in the last 6 months. Just so you know who David Kleckner is, I am a 1982 Plano Senior High School graduate. I am 4 generations of Collin County. I'm a 1986 graduate of Stephen F. Austin State University. I have an accounting degree. But Daddy said, go to law school. And I listened to Daddy. I received my law degree from St. Mary's University in San Antonio in 1989. I received my law license when I was 24 years old. From there, I went to the Smith County District Attorney's Office. Where's Smith County? Tyler, you bet. And boy, did I enjoy that for 2 years and 1 month. I had 40 jury trials my first year. I'm a courtroom lawyer. But from there, I was fortunate to be asked by the Tarrant County Criminal District Attorney's Office to be an assistant district attorney there, where I was for 11 years. You know what, guys? I speak in front of juries and courtrooms every day, but I'll let you know, I still get a little nervous, but I see some smiles out there, and you guys are sure helping me out, so thank you very much for that. For 11 years, I tried cases in Tarrant County, from child abuse cases to serious gangster cases, felony cases. I was a teacher who taught the teachers of prosecutor school. So not only did I teach at prosecutor school, but I also taught some of the teachers who would go and actually teach at the prosecutor school. From there, I wanted to come home. I bought a house across the street from Mommy and Daddy's house. I still live down the street from Mommy and Daddy. And I'll tell you, when I'm finished here, I'm going by to see Mommy, and I'm going But with that, when I came home, I started my own practice. I purchased a building on Preston Road. 289, and you will see my sign right there on Highway 289, Preston Road, David M. Kleckner, lawyer. And I've been in that building now almost 20 years. I am at the courthouse every day, and I look forward to being your judge for County Court of Law number 5. I am the right candidate for it because I practice in all the courts in Collin County. I don't go to other counties. I don't handle any other type of business except serious criminal cases only here in Collin County. Knowing tonight that I am still in a jury trial in front of Judge Thompson, if you guys see that I don't stay around much longer after this, I don't want you to take that as rude or slight. But if I was your lawyer, would you want me out and about? Or would you want me home or at the office preparing for tomorrow's case, the jury charge, summation, and being prepared and giving it the best? And my clients get the best. And I look for you when it's come time to make a decision on who you vote for. I want you to check Kleck, David M. Kleckner. I'm the one that I am looking forward to being your judge. I know how to be a judge and be at the courthouse every day, and I will hustle for you, and I'll even give you a little time back. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our next candidate is Joel Petrazio.
Thank you. That's going to be hard to follow, David. My name is Joel Petrazio, and I'm grateful to be here. I'm glad that y'all put this forum. I love the way we did it with dinner. I had dinner at table 7. Great conversation. My wife Connie is here, and my friend Jeff and Lucinda Hunt is here. I appreciate their being here. I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a military brat. My dad was an Air Force pilot. I lived all over the world until I was in 5th grade. I moved to the United States and lived in New Jersey. My dad was stationed there. Lived there for 8 years. My folks moved to Germany my senior year, and I ended up going to college at Texas A&M. My parents, class of 91, my parents lived in Germany. I went to A&M on an Air Force scholarship, a full ride scholarship, and 2 weeks into that, I decided that I was doing that not for me, but for my family. And I said, I'm not going to go in the Air Force and be a fighter pilot like my dad did. I'm going to be a lawyer. I didn't know any lawyers, but I made that choice, and it was the most difficult choice that I made until that point in my life. And I've not regretted that choice at all, because I spent the last 26 years, after I finished at A&M, I went to Oklahoma City University and got my law degree, and then I moved back to Texas, and I opened my own law firm. I've never gone and worked for anyone. I started out, I hung my shingle, and I started practicing law. And it was really, really difficult the first 2 or 3 years, because until you build a client base, it's hard to be a lawyer in Texas on your own. But I did that. I have practiced in Collin County for the last 26 years. You talk about experience, I did an apples to apples comparison. I have the most cases in district court and county court of all the people that are on the stage right now. It's not close. But that's because I've been in private practice and I've been in these courts for a very long time. So I know everything that happens in county court, everything that happens in district court. I used to be a divorce attorney. I've done civil. I've done the most civil in Collin County than everybody on the stage. It's not close. So the questions that we're to address, that's a little bit about me. The border, the problem with the border. Yeah, with the rise in the population alone, we're going to see cases increase in Collin County. The border obviously is not helping that. I do a lot of federal criminal defense. I'm really seeing it in my practice because of the human trafficking. I've done those cases. The drug cartel, I've done those cases. It's a big problem, and it's not getting any better. It's getting a lot worse. The fentanyl, the cocaine, the methamphetamine, that all comes through Mexico. I do those cases. It's horrible. We don't handle those cases in County Court of Law 5, but I appreciate the stress that it's putting on Texas, our economy, our jails, the federal facilities, that we're housing people from the Eastern District all over. I've got people in Oklahoma, Texarkana, because we're full, because we don't have space even in McKinney. We're even outsourcing in McKinney on our state charges. So I've seen that. It's a problem. It's not a problem that we can't handle, though. It's going to require hard work. It's going to require getting caught up. The pandemic didn't help. My vision for the court is to work. Look, we've been closed down for a while with jury trials. They started up. I know David. I've seen David in jury trials. We've got to start working. And I think things are on the downward slide, and we've got to get back in. If we've got to run double docket, we'll do that. It's not something that we can't handle. It is a privilege to be able to do what I do, to help people, whether it's veterans. I've had a lot of veteran clients, whether it's a kid that grew up in a home that doesn't have a dad. I've seen all of it because I've been doing it for so long. That's what makes a judge a good judge, someone that's done it. And I've done it for 26 years. I've practiced in the JP courts, the city courts. I've done the appeals. I've done all of that come up on appeal in County Court of Law 5. With the privilege of getting to do what we do comes a great amount of responsibility. And I realize that. And that responsibility is not something that I would take lightly. I want to assure you that I've been involved in my community. I'm on the Salina Education Board for the Education Foundation. I've been on search committees in the church in Salina where I live for the last 16 years. I know what it is to be involved, and I want to continue to be involved, but now I want to serve in a different way. I want to serve not only the citizens of Collin County, but also the individuals that come before the court. We can help a lot of people and we can change lives. I think all of us want to do that. That's why I want to be a judge, because I think from that position I can do it differently. You know, they've got to listen to the judge a little bit more than their attorney because he's the one that can put them in jail. But I think that I have the compassion to do that. But I also believe in upholding the law as it's written, and we're going to enforce the law.
Thank you very much. Okay, Jimmy Angelino, 1 minute.
Now you're gonna ring the bell in 30 seconds, so because you're ringing it.
No, we're not ringing the bell, but you keep it to 1 minute.
I don't like to get the rules right.
But we will ring it after a minute. Or locked.
Notice, I didn't get to the bell. Is this the one that's working? Yes. Okay. I want to thank you all for being here. For the people who have researched me, I'd like you to know some of the people who've endorsed me. That's why I have a piece of paper. I don't ever like having a piece of paper, but there's a lot of people. I've been endorsed by We the People Allen, the Texas Right to Life, Collin County Conservative Republicans, Prosperous Citizens Group, PAC, Red Wave. I've been recommended by the Texas True Project. I've been endorsed by the Dallas Police Association, the Frisco Police, Prosper Police, Richardson Police, McKinney Police, Collin County Deputies Association, Fred Moses, John Keating, Dave Cornett, Angela Powell, Cheryl Williams, Ray Smith, Keith Self, over 35 precinct chairs, over 40 members of the legal community, Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, and 30 members of the military, and first responder community, including Dallas Police Chiefs William Rathburn and Ben Click. You can go on my website to see the whole list. It's about time that we elect doers instead of talkers. Because like I said, everybody up here said, I want to serve. Have you seen any service? No. Hire someone who's a doer, not a talker.
Thank you, sir. Randy Johnson.
Thank you once again for your time. I'm not going to list all my endorsements. They're on my website, voterandyforjudge.com. I will mention 2 of them. I've been endorsed by the Louisville Firefighters Association and the Dallas Firefighters Association. And someone asked me, why would they care about a county court in Collin County? And I told them, they don't care about Collin County per se, they care about me because they know how hard I work, how professional I am, what my integrity is, and how hard I work to support them and to protect them. We want to talk about experience. Before any of my opponents were ever licensed to practice law, I had already handled over 100 criminal appeals. I have tried somewhere between 50 and 100 civil and criminal cases. Over the course of my career, I have tried cases to verdict in district court in something like 20 to 24 different counties in this state. I've handled cases in federal court. I've handled cases in county court. I've handled cases...
Sorry, make your final appeal.
I didn't get my 30 seconds.
1 second, 1 sentence.
Okay. I've been practicing for 37 years. Last time I looked, 37 years is more than 26 years. It's more than these other attorneys have been practicing. And I handle every kind of case that this court hears. And I've heard them, and I've done them, and they haven't. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hey guys, before I begin, Mr. Brown, Ms. Van Fleet, that they put together such an excellent production and program. I want everybody to say thank you very much. How proud I was when Ms. Van Fleet to a very important event. Yes, ma'am, I will be there. Mom, I have something to do tonight, and I'm going to go do it. Thank you. Just remember David Kleckner. I am the best candidate for this court. I will serve you there every day. I will hustle like I always do at the courthouse, and I am prepared for it, and I am ready. David Kleckner, 4th Judge, Court 5. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks again, everyone, for coming out and giving us an opportunity to talk to you. It's very difficult for us, any of us, to convey to you who we are or what we're about in 6 minutes. You can't do it. Fortunately, we all have the ability to create websites. I put a lot of videos on my website, joelpetrazio.com, my name.com. Some of them are interviews, some of them are direct questions that deal with issues of today, as well as why I want to be judge, what the role of a judge should be. Go to the website and watch it. I know that you got a brief synopsis from all of us tonight, but take your time and look at it. I know that when you're looking to put a judge on the bench, you want someone that shares your values. I'm going to be a doer. I'm going to be a doer of the word. And a lot of you know what that means. And I take that very seriously. I would appreciate your consideration when you vote. And I look forward to seeing you out there. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Stand up, please. I'd like to thank all 4 gentlemen. I wish you the very, very best. Thank you. Yes. And now Ben Brown is going to have 2 minutes, Ben, to say what he has to say about the legislature. Your time is ticking, Ben.
I'm going to take, hello? I'm going to take 2 Joan Van Fleet minutes, and I stole her horn. I got a question. How many Heritage Ranch voters voted yesterday? Anybody would care to guess? No, nobody? No takers. I'm not offered a prize. I give you the home. 59. How many Republicans voted yesterday?
59.
50. A couple of months ago, I would have chastised you for that number. But I know you're waiting for this event tonight to make up your mind, and that's fine. I have not voted yet. So the real question is, how many Republican Club members are going to vote tomorrow? Yeah. Y'all need to do that. If you go to our website, there's a lot of information on the website. It's still there. You can get sample ballots. The thing that I would mention, please vote in every race, from top to bottom. That's important. That's important. And there's an opinion poll, by the way. Okay, Bob, if you go to the next slide. If you think the elections are over with, after the March primary, we have more elections. There's potential for a runoff in the primary in May. Plus, we have a general election where our school boards and town council candidates will be running. Plus, there are 2 constitutional amendments on the May ballot. You'll be hearing more and more about that. But the other thing that's going on after the primary is the beginning of the Republican conventions. The Republican Precinct Convention is March 5th over in Collin County, Frisco campus. I'd like to see 176 people from Heritage Ranch show up. The Senate District 8 convention is a little bit later, and then the state convention is June. But the process begins with people showing up at the precinct convention, putting in resolutions, and working to get candidates to the Senate District 8 convention and then on to the state convention. Sue Reeves is here tonight. She's right here. Sue will be at the table outside the room afterwards. If you think you want to come to a precinct convention, see Sue Reeves. She'll sign you up and we'll get you linked up so that you can come and participate in this process for the Republican Party. The last thing I have is not on the slide. You may have missed this when you walk through and register, check in. It's kind of a voting guide, lots of information about the March primary. There's still a few copies left on the check-in table. If you didn't get one, please be sure and get one. I'm through.
That's the best I can do, but it even gets harder. Now I'd like to call the next two candidates up. This is for the Criminal Court of Appeals. So would you please come up? Yes, follow and come in through the back. This is Clint Morgan and Scott Walker. And if you would look up on the screen. Next. Okay. These are the general responsibilities. It's the highest final Texas Court of Criminal Cases. You know we have the Texas Supreme Court candidates here for the primary, and these folks in the Criminal Court of Appeals, oh, we don't have the, sorry. Clint Morgan. Do a little rearranging here. Fine, so that will be okay. You don't need these. All right. We did ask.
Get another microphone there, Joan.
Through. Yes. Okay, we have a little general responsibilities. You can read that. I'm sure in their talks they will tell you about them. And we also gave them some talking points. We're using the same format, 6 minutes. We'll give you a warning with 1 minute to go, just one ring of the bell. And, well, remember, we really do not want to hear about the other candidates. I repeat that because although the other 4 gentlemen followed our rules, they ran just up to the line. So we don't want to run over the line, right? Thank you.
Is this on? Howdy y'all, my name is Clint Morgan. I am a lifelong conservative, a career prosecutor, and a candidate for the Court of Criminal Appeals. So what is the Court of Criminal Appeals? In Texas, our court system has 3 levels. We have our trial courts down below. We all know what happens there. If you don't like what happens to you at the trial court, you appeal. You go to a Court of Appeals. There are 14 of them spread out across these states. Those are local courts. Y'all's is in Dallas. And if you don't like what happens to you at the Court of Appeals, you then go up. If it's a civil case, you go to the Supreme Court. If it's a criminal case, you go to the Court of Criminal Appeals. And so Texas really has 2 Supreme Courts. This one is the Supreme Court for criminal cases. It's our state's highest court for criminal law. I am running for the Court of Criminal Appeals because I believe we are having a crisis of crime in the state. And I believe we need to confront it the way the Republicans confronted the last crisis of crime in the 90s, and that's with law and order. So what does law and order look like for the job I'm running for? So We like to think generally of Texas as a nice Republican state, but the reality is in 2018, the Democrats took over all our big city courts of appeals. They took over your court here in Dallas, they took over my courts in Houston, they took over Austin and San Antonio. Right now in the state of Texas, if you are a criminal defendant who is convicted, most likely your appeal will go to a court controlled by Democrats. And it's not just that they're Democrats, I'm not making a strictly partisan point. Many of these people are truly activist judges. They want to change the law. They don't agree with the criminal laws that we have passed in this state. They don't agree with the way that the Court of Criminal Appeals has historically strictly enforced the criminal law, and they're trying to bend it. They're reversing convictions that should not be reversed. In Houston, I'm an appellate prosecutor. In 2 years under Democrat judges, I had more cases reversed than I had in 6 years under Republican judges. And the law didn't change. It was just the judges. So where does that take us to? So we've got activist judges running amok on our big city courts of appeals. What we need as Republicans is for our Republicans at the top to be extra productive and extra vigorous in their application of the law. We need them to grant review of more cases. We need them to issue opinions faster. We need them to strictly construe the law using the text of the statutes and the text of the Constitution. And that is how we keep activist judges in check. Because you cannot have law and order if you have activist judges changing the law when cases are on appeal. We need our Republican judges to keep that in check. We need them to strictly follow the law as it is written. That's what law and order means. The criminal justice system protects people by providing a deterrent effect when it delivers results that are quick and predictable. If you don't get those two things, then people take chances. They think they can roll the dice at trial, get a bad ruling from a judge, and get off. If we deliver quick, predictable results, we can bring this crisis of crime back in check. I have been an appellate prosecutor for 9.5 years in Harris County. That's the biggest county in the state. It's got more people than 26 states in this country. During that time, I have been the most productive appellate prosecutor in that state. I have written nearly 400 briefs. I've had now 17 cases at the Court of Criminal Appeals. These numbers are at or near the top of anybody in the state of Texas. Before I worked at my current job, I worked at the Court of Criminal Appeals. And for the 2 years I worked there, my judge wrote the most opinions of anybody on that court. I have seen up close what it takes to be a quick and productive judge who correctly and vigorously applies the law. I have myself demonstrated a propensity for high efficiency when dealing with a high workload. I will take that to the Court of Criminal Appeals. I will get that court to grant review of more cases. We will issue opinions quicker. We will help restore Texas communities to safety through law and order. That's why I'm running for this court. Now, I kind of like this format. I don't normally get questions to answer, so I'm gonna move on to some of the questions Joan asked. And the question about the crime coming through the border, the short answer is a lot of that's being dealt with at the local courts, but it is burdening our system. And so what we need more productive judges working faster at every single level. We need our criminal justice system to step up and protect us, and that means our judges stepping up and protecting us. There's more work to be done. We need people who will go out there and do it and who will accept the challenge and strive for excellence. All right? She had another question on there that I liked. What do you do if you disagree with an opinion from the Court of Criminal Appeals? So last December, the court issued an opinion that a lot of people are disagreeing with, or at least don't like, that held that the Attorney General cannot enforce election laws in this state. If you, as a citizen, you're a voter, this is your court, there's a difference between a result you don't like and a result that you think is wrong. I would encourage you to get educated. If you don't like that, then you have an opportunity to vote against that. If you think the dissent is correct, you can do that. That's your right. That's the way the Texas Constitution is structured. It puts the people in charge of this state. Finally, there were some questions about how do we maintain Republican control of this court? How do we beat the Democrat in the fall? The answer is law and order. The Democrats used to control this court. They lost control back in the 80s when they put a bunch of career defense attorneys on the court who became pro-defendant activists. That's when the state started turning to Republican judges in the early 90s. We need to make sure that we elect Republicans who are focused on law and order to this court, because that's what Texans want and that's what Texans deserve. Judges that will keep them safe.
My name's Scott Walker. I am the judge on the Court of Criminal Appeals, one of 9 judges on that court. I've been a judge since 2017, ran for election throughout the year of 2016. And one question was, you know, can we beat the Democrat in the fall? I do have a Democrat opponent, and I can beat the Democrat in the fall. So I'm going to tell you quickly why I can beat the Democrat. I had a Democrat 6 years ago, and I beat the Democrat then by almost 1 million votes. Okay, I also had there was 4 of us in the Republican race, and I beat the second place finisher in the primary to the extent that I had more than twice as many votes that he did. So I am a person that can win, and that can win in the fall for sure. Let me just say one thing. You know, we're not supposed to talk about our opponents, but this isn't negative. I appreciate everything he said, and I agree with it. That doesn't happen very often in these kind of speeches, but I agree with almost everything Mr. Morgan said, and I won't repeat it. I will tell you one thing, and you may think I'm joking about this, but I am a real Texan. I was born in Borger, Texas in 1953. And what I mean by a real Texan, I was a Texan before I was ever born in 1953. And some of you are laughing, and some of you, what's he talking about? Well, I was a real Texan 9 months before I was born in 1953. Okay? And let me just go back to Borger. When I was born in 1953, my dad worked at Phillips Petroleum Company. My wife, her dad worked at Phillips Petroleum Company during the same time. 3 years later, she was born. So we lived in the same apartment complex, just doors apart. We never met. Many years later, in grade school, we were in Red Oak, Texas, both of us. So I really believe strongly that God was involved in my life before I was even born. Certainly, God was involved in her life before I was born. That's true. Anyway, so let me say this. We've been Christians for a long time, both me and my wife. We try, in the last 15 years, we realized that we had been running through life too fast. We wasn't spending the time we should reading the Bible together and praying together. So we started doing that about 15 years ago. We try to do it twice a day. And when I was running for election, a lot of times we'd just open the Bible and see where it lands, and that's what we talked about, what we read about and learned about. And before the election, we kept getting verse after verse, you know, a lot of them from Psalms, about God's going to fight our battles for us. If He's for us, nobody can be against us. But then after getting elected, probably within 2 weeks of that, we got a different verse. And the Bible verse we got at that time was Amos 5:15. And I've actually put it on the back page of my brochures, but it tells you what part of my job is, or all of my job. You know, I swore an oath when I became a judge to protect and defend the constitutions and the laws of Texas and the United States, and I do that. But also, Amos 5:15 says, hate evil, love good, and maintain justice in the courts. So I feel like that's the biblical job that we have as judges on the Court of Criminal Appeals. And it says courts, maintain justice on the courts, not just the court. And why that's a big deal to me is every time we have a case, every time we write an opinion, everything we do, other courts has to listen to it. They have to follow what this court does. So every time we write something and do something, you know, I prayerfully make sure that what I'm doing, the vote I'm making, is going to stimulate the other courts to be just in all their rulings. So now I want to say another thing too. I even have it on my business cards because it's so important to me. And I'll say this in closing, I'm a constitutional conservative. I'm also an originalist. I believe that the constitutions must be interpreted the same way as they were written when they were written. I believe that firmly. I believe firmly that the Texas Constitution and the United States Constitutions is something that the appellate courts have to look at first. You know, if we're looking at a case and it's a constitutional case, the Constitution controls. And sometimes, as Justice Scalia once said, if we do our job as appellate judges and follow the law and the constitutions, sometimes, not real often, but sometimes we're not going to like the bottom line. And that certainly happens. Thank you very much. Be sure to vote for me, Scott Walker.
I just want you to get another mic. Just put that one down, Joan. Just pick up another mic, please.
Okay, first of all, I want to thank, oh yes, there you are. Thank these two fine gentlemen. We wish you all the best. They are a wonderful example of our Republican Party. Thank you. Because of the microphone, yes. I stand corrected. 1 minute. Excuse me. Okay, yes, make your appeal. Sorry.
Right, so your task here is to pick who's going to be the best judge over the next 6 years. And I'm going to tell you, I love the Republican Party. I love our principles. I love the Constitution. I love Texas. I want the Republican Party to keep control of Texas this election and long into the future. But if we're going to do that, we have to make sure we are electing the very best people each and every time. We cannot expect our fellow Texans to put their trust in us if we don't keep our own house in order. And what that means is researching all the incumbents that are up, researching the challengers, and making a decision looking towards the future about who is going to do the best, who is going to present excellence to the citizens of this state. I believe that's me. You can look me up at clintforjudge.com. I list all my endorsements. I've got Texas Right to Life. I've got every grassroots organization to weigh in on this election that I'm aware of. I've got law enforcement endorsements because they know I am the law and order candidate in this race. I'm running as the law and order judge for the Court of Criminal Appeals. My name is Clint Morgan. Thank you.
Again, I'm going to say my name again, Scott Walker. Don't forget it when you go vote tomorrow, or the next day, or sometime in the next week or so. One thing that I want to say is I'm local. After leaving Border, my wife and I both ended up in Red Oak, which is just south of Dallas. We now live in Waxahachie, and we've lived there, you know, ever since being there, except for one short time we moved to East Texas for about 2 or 3 years. And then also want to say that both of us graduated from Dallas Baptist University. My mother graduated from Dallas Baptist University, and here's the thing that's kind of interesting, is that when I graduated, I wouldn't do the exercises because my mother actually graduated the next time, and I wanted to wait and graduate with her. That was really cool. So, and then I went to Baylor Law School. Thank you.
And now I wish to thank these two gentlemen for their participation, for their willingness to run, and we wish you all the very best. And please, everyone, when I look in the back and see all of these signs, don't leave yet, but when you do, make sure you stop by and pick up some information or interact with our candidates. Thank you. And now we have the last part. And I'm asking you all, I know it's getting a little bit late, and we do have, hence I tried to cut them off by a minute. We have a schedule, and I'm trying my best to keep in the schedule. the schedule is really too skimpy. Anyway, please try to force yourself to stay around. We have two colorful candidates, I say. And they should come up now. It's Paul Rowley and C.D. Mayfield, and they are running for Justice of the Peace, Precinct 1. So I ask you to stay with them here. We'll do the same thing. It will not be much longer. I know how anxious people get, but I'm asking you to stay. And we also have a drawing tonight, don't we? Yeah. So who knows, you might win. You have to be here to win though. So we're trying to keep you here. Anyway, we have C.D. Mayfield and Paul Rowley. As soon as they're settled, and if you look up above, we have the responsibilities. I'm not going to read them for you, but if you can glance at them and see, so you know what the Justice of the Peace does, and see which ones you feel will be most suitable. Are you ready? Okay. So we'll have you first, C.D. Mayfield.
My name's C.D. Mayfield, and I'm running for Justice of the Peace, Precinct 1. I want to start off a little bit different today. I want to talk about my beautiful wife, Katie. She works for the Garland Police Department as a communications supervisor. We have a beautiful daughter, Kayla, who is currently deployed with the Marine Corps. After high school, I joined the Marine Corps as an infantryman, did that for 4 years. After I got out of the Marine Corps, I became a police officer with the City of Allen, and I've been with them for the last 23 years. And during that time, I've been a lot. I've been a patrolman. I left patrol and became a narcotics investigator, and then I became a narcotics supervisor, and then I became capers and property crimes. One of the questions that keeps being brought up is about the border. When I was in narcotics, where do you think your drugs come across? They come across that porous border. And when I first started, we had meth labs in Texas. And in Texas and other states started working really hard to lock down the precursors or the ingredients to make meth. Made it harder for the meth lab dealers here in America. Well, when that happened, the cartels figured out, hey, there's a lot of money in meth, and we can get that stuff from China. And so that's when the super labs started up in Mexico through the cartels. So now all the meth comes from our open border that no one wants to admit is open. Fast forward to about 3 years ago, I was recruited to join a federal task force targeting a Western African organized crime group. And one of the things they do is romance scams, targeting the elderly, business email compromises. But during our investigation, we learned that they too were exploiting our immigration laws. They were student visa overstays, and then we started noticing a lot of marriage fraud. We even had one individual, his wife supposedly died in their home country, married here, was married a year, but while we were looking at him, we realized he was living here in the United States with his dead wife. So back on September 22nd, we arrested 34 of them. We've gone through a lot of accounts, but we're trying to get some of the money back and hopefully get some restitution for the victims. Like I told you, I was a Marine and I've been a police officer, and I've been successful. During my time with the Allen Police Department, I've been Officer of the Year, Investigator of the Year, and Supervisor of the Year. You've heard me say it before, I'm the only one at Allen PD that's been all three of those. I say it because I'm proud of it. I also bring it up because it shows my work ethic and my commitment to succeed. You talk to anybody who knows me, I've got honesty, integrity, and I'm ethical. It doesn't take training or know how to be fair, honest, and just. That's just you, and that's who I am. And through my time at LPD, I've learned how to adapt and be successful in new positions. And that's why I believe I'd be successful at the Justice of the Peace if you all give me a chance to show you that. Everything I try at or I do, I succeed. I don't like losing, and I like to be successful. I like to be on the winning team. One of the other questions is, what would you change in the court? Well, I've been a supervisor and I'm in the military, in the police world. I know the first thing you do when you get a new unit or a new job is you don't go in there and change things. That's crazy. You go there and you talk to the current employees. You ask them for their input. Ask them if they think there's something that could be more efficient or if something can be improved on. And that's what I'm hoping we can do here. I'm asking for your support, and I hope later on when you vote for C.D. Mayfield for Justice of the Peace Precinct 1.
Evening, folks. I'm Judge Paul Raleigh, and I am your Justice of the Peace, and have been for the last 24 years. Back in 1998, I was running for judge, and I came to you, and I said, hey, if you'll elect me as your Justice of the Peace, I promise you that I will set up one of the most dynamic justice courts in the state of Texas, and I've delivered on that, ladies and gentlemen, and there is no need to make a change right now. Maybe when I retire, but no need to make a change right now. Let me tell you why. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, there is no backlog in the Justice Court whatsoever. Every case in my court is on track for trial right now. There is not one case sitting waiting to be processed. As a matter of fact, most cases are processed the day they're filed. See, we work really hard to bring in a court management system that helps us electronically track cases and move cases. The other thing, ladies and gentlemen, is we have a courtroom full of technology. Every one of my staff members have a brand new court tablet that plugs into our court system. We have printers, we have monitors. I got a 65-inch touchscreen smart TV in the courtroom. I've got so much technology you wouldn't believe it, but guess what? You didn't have to pay a penny for it. Not one penny, not a penny came from taxpayers' money. When I tell you I'm a conservative judge, promise me I am. So far, I've saved you over $130,000 in salaries just this year alone because of the border. They talked about the border. Well, listen, I'm going to tell you right now, the Justice Court will never, ever have to deal with the drug cartels, the meth labs, or the immigration laws. They just don't get to the justice courts. I went from 14,000 cases to 6,000 cases. Been a reduction in the court, and that's how I was able to save you some money because I haven't filled positions. See, what you don't know is all the law enforcement that were here writing all these tickets, well, they're down on the border. So we don't have tickets anymore. So there goes 6,000 tickets out the door. You just don't do those. 90% of what the court does is civil. And I think you'll find out that after 24 years on the bench, that's what I do. I'm a big civil judge. We carry a big civil docket, and that's what the court manages quite a bit. I also want you to know that I've been called upon by the State Commission on Judicial Conduct to help mentor other judges in this area that needed some help with mentoring or training. You don't get that privilege from the State Commission if you don't know what you're doing. The State Commission, when they reached out to say who in the Collin County area, they were told to contact Judge Raleigh by the State Justice Court Training Center. Because see, I teach for the Training Center. And I teach other judges for the Training Center. And I know it sounds like I'm up here trying to make myself high and almighty, but the answer to that is I am. I've been doing it for 24 years and I got good at it. I got so good that I got recognized throughout the entire state of Texas for the court that knows what they're doing. Go look at my website, ladies and gentlemen. Take a look at what the other judges say about me. If you want to know about the justice courts or any court, talk to an attorney. Go talk to an attorney. They're in the courts all the time. They'll tell you about good judges and bad judges. Got a track record that will not let you down. It will not embarrass you. And ladies and gentlemen, if you re-elect me, I promise you that you will continue to get the best justice court that this state has ever seen. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Now we have a 1-minute appeal. Are you ready?
Go. CD again. I just want to thank you all for being here. It's just a great honor, and this is the first time I've ever run for office, and I've got to admit, I'm actually enjoying it. It's great meeting the citizens, meeting all of you, and just talking to everybody, and just meeting everybody's different way of life. Real quick, go to my website, cd4jp.com, go to the endorsements. There's not many there, but those are people that know me that are speaking from their heart. So just read it and just take a chance to learn a little bit about me. Just real quick though, my name's C.D. Mayfield. I'm running for Justice of the Peace Precinct 1. I believe I'm #1 for Precinct 1, and I know I'm #1 on the ballot when you get there. Thank you.
Judge Paul Raleigh, I'm your Justice of the Peace, and guess what? We're the last speakers. Good night.
Thank you both very much and all the very best. Thank you all, but now we have a few words from Jack, and we do have the door prizes.
Thank you. Listen, we had some wonderful presentations tonight. And one of the challenges that we have is when I look at all of these candidates that talk tonight, and we try to single out one person for one race, I think to myself, gee, I wish I could position the people that are not going to win to other offices because they're too good not to be serving somewhere else. Yeah. So, what? Okay. So, a special request. Before you leave tonight, be sure and take your name badge and put it on the table, and we'll pick it up. Believe me, if you don't put your name badge there, then next month, we're going to have a heck of a time trying to figure out where you went when we can't find your badge. All right. So, before we go any further, we're going to ask... we're going to do tonight's drawing, and Clayton is doing that.
Thank you, Jack. We have 4 prizes tonight. The first 2 prizes will be a book that was donated by John Seffick. This is What Are the Odds by Mike Lindell. You all know him as a pillow man. He's had some tough times. As of right now, they're trying to close his bank accounts. So this is a great book. It's a great thing to have. I've got 2 of them, so maybe you take out. Everyone that's here tonight, their name is in here. Jim. What are the odds? What's going on? Dig down deeper. The second one is Ron Samuels, and he's not here. He's already gone. Lynn Norton. Nancy Yost. Nancy. Okay. Now we have 2 gift cards. $25 gift cards, and they're for Darden restaurants. The first one is Ray Foster. Ray Foster. We got one more. Ron Thomas. Thank you all. Understand that this is sponsored by www.Republic Club at Heritage Ranch. You can go online. We have a poll on there that we have, and we'll be selecting a prize from that poll for those who go on and do the poll. It'll end on the 1st of March, okay?
Thank you, Clayton. Okay, a couple of things on upcoming events. Number one, the Lincoln Day Dinner. I want to tell you that I was talking to Sue Reeves, our chairperson, our committee chair lady, and she tells me that this is the biggest Lincoln Day dinner in our history. We have over 700 people coming out at South Fork Ranch. The guest speaker is Glenn Beck. But if any of you would like to come, Sue Reeves is sitting right there with her hand up, and please catch her right after the meeting. She'll figure out how to get you in there. Secondly, the Republican primary voting has opened, as we've been talking about all night long. Right now is early voting, but it's March 1st is the final date to vote. But get in there and do early voting and beef up our Heritage Ranch Republican Club voting popularity numbers. And then finally, our March dinner meeting will be March 21st right here. Our guest speaker is Dr. Mark Christian. Just so you know, there's a wonderful story about him. He was initially an imam in the Middle East, escaped. His life was under serious duress, but he managed to escape, came here to the United States. He lives in Des Moines, Iowa. We have him coming here to tell the story of the philosophy there, what those people are taught about Americans and about this country and what their intentions are. You really want to hear this story. It's a magnificent story. It's a lifelong story. March 21st, okay? All right, so to send you home on a good note here, we have our...
When I die, may my